You are afraid of something right now. Maybe you don't call it fear. Maybe it feels like anxiety, stress, a vague unease you can't quite name, but it's there. And here's what nobody tells you. The thing you're afraid of isn't new. It isn't modern. It isn't a product of social media or the news or the pressure of contemporary life. Your fears are ancient. Older than civilization, older than language. And once you understand what your ancestors were truly afraid of, you'll never look at your own anxiety the same way again. Most people assume ancient humans feared predators, lions, bears, wolves, the obvious stuff, the things with teeth. And yes, those were real. But anthropologists studying ancient fear patterns have found something unexpected. Something that changes the entire picture. The things that terrified our ancestors most weren't the ones that could be seen. They were the ones that couldn't. Let's start with darkness, because darkness wasn't just inconvenient for ancient humans. It wasn't just uncomfortable. It was psychologically catastrophic in a way modern humans have completely lost the ability to feel. Before fire was controlled, before roughly 1 million years ago, when the sun went down, our ancestors went blind. Not dim, not shadowy, completely blind. Human eyes are among the worst of any mammal in low light conditions. Leopards, hyenas, and lions could see perfectly. We could not see our own hands. Every night was an ambush waiting to happen. But here's what researchers discovered. The fear of darkness didn't go away when fire gave us light. It went deeper. It transformed. Anthropologist Wiesner, studying the Juwansi Bushmen of the Kalahari, one of the last groups still living close to the original human lifestyle, found that fear of the dark persisted long after practical danger decreased. It became something else entirely. It became fear of what the dark contained. Not predators, the dead. In virtually every ancient culture archaeologists have studied, from the cave burials of Neanderthals 100,000 years ago to the grave goods of early Homo sapiens, there is consistent evidence of one belief so universal it appears to be hardwired into the human brain. The dead don't fully leave. Ancient humans didn't experience death the way we do, as a biological event with a clear before and after. They experienced it as a transition, a change of state. The dead person was still present, still watching, still capable of influence. This wasn't superstition. This was the dominant reality framework for nearly all of human history. Archaeologist Pettitt at Durham University has spent decades studying Neanderthal and early human burial sites. What he found wasn't just graves. It was evidence of elaborate ritual, bodies positioned carefully, red ochre placed over remains, flowers and tools buried alongside the dead. This wasn't grief alone. This was management. Ancient humans weren't just mourning their dead, they were negotiating with them. Because the alternative, leaving the dead unattended, disrespected, unmanaged, was terrifying. An angry ancestor was not a metaphor. It was a threat. But the deepest fear, the one that surfaces most consistently across ancient cultures, the one that kept people closest to the fire, closest to the group, closest to each other, was losing their mind. In a tribe of 30 people surviving on the African savanna, every single member carried weight. Every person hunted, gathered, cared for children, maintained relationships, contributed knowledge. The tribe was a machine, and every part of that machine was essential. Now imagine one member starts behaving strangely, hearing things, seeing things that aren't there, speaking to people who don't exist. This wasn't just a personal tragedy. This was a crisis for everyone. Psychiatrist Julian Jaynes, in his landmark 1976 work on the origins of human consciousness, argued that what we now call psychosis, hearing voices, seeing visions, may have been interpreted by ancient peoples not as illness, but as communication. From the dead, from gods, from forces beyond the physical world. Which means the person experiencing it wasn't just frightening, they were a doorway. And doorways can open in both directions. Ancient humans feared the mad because madness blurred the boundary between the living world and whatever lay beyond it. The person who heard voices might be receiving messages, or they might be possessed by something that had crossed over. Archaeological records show evidence of trepanation, drilling holes in living skulls, dating back over 7,000 years across multiple unconnected cultures. Some researchers believe this was an attempt to release whatever had entered the mind of someone exhibiting psychotic symptoms. They were literally trying to open a door in someone's head to let the thing out. That is how real this fear was. So here's what ancient humans were actually afraid of. Not predators. Predators could be seen, tracked, avoided, fought. They feared the dark, not because of what was in it, but because of what it woke inside them. They feared the dead, not as a concept, but as a living presence that required constant management. They feared losing their mind, not as an illness, but as a possession, an invasion from a world they could feel, but never fully see. And here is the part that should unsettle you. Look at what we are afraid of now. We fear the unknown. We fear what happens after death. We fear losing control of our own minds, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, the terror of mental illness. We didn't overcome these fears. We renamed them. We replaced the dead ancestors with existential dread. We replaced the possessed tribe member with psychiatric diagnosis. We replaced the terrifying dark with the 3 a.m. thought spiral you can't turn off. For 300,000 years, your ancestors sat around fires in complete darkness, listening for sounds that might mean death, watching their tribe members for signs of something crossing over, negotiating with the dead to stay on the right side of the boundary. And every night, when the fire burned low and the darkness pressed in from every direction, they felt something in their chest that had no name. You feel it too. You just call it something different.